Alright everyone, welcome back to a brand new Resident Evil Village video. Today we're going to be going over the biggest theories that players have after the events of the end of the game. Before we get started, this is no way a ending explained video. There's a million of those on the internet already, and you know, if one person said what happens at the end, then someone else said exactly the same thing. This is purely based on what people think the ending might mean for the future, and the ideas people have in terms of potential DLC for Village, and of course the next mainline game, Resident Evil 9. So we're just going to be going over some ideas what people think, and if they are plausible, or if they might not be. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first up we have the classic Ethan is alive theory. This is an interesting one. This is an interesting one actually because of a few things. One is thanks to some photo mode mods, I believe, you were able to see who the distant figure was coming towards Rose's car at the end of the game. Upon getting closer, you figure out it is Ethan, and the model isn't exactly his base model. Obviously he's missing his coat because we gave it to Rose. His hand is still missing a couple fingers, and there is like a bit of mold on his hand, I think, as well. So it would kind of assume that, obviously we know that Ethan is a mold monster essentially, but it would kind of assume that he's regened in some way, because I don't think that was there originally, unless it's just not possible to see it. And it is interesting, you know. Things to keep in mind about this type of thing that happens in, you know, video games and movies is when a character dies, or for example, a character like, okay, so this is an old example, but you remember when, if anyone's watched The Walking Dead way back when, and then before Glenn actually died, there was like a fake out with him where he looked like he died and then he disappeared for a couple of episodes and then he came back. Like, my point is that if you don't see the body, are they dead? Like, if you don't see them dead, are they dead? Like, that's something to keep in mind, because there is potential that Ethan isn't dead. Do I think that Ethan will play an important role now? If he is alive? Probably not, because obviously the end of the game does state that the father's story has ended. So I don't think Ethan will be like a prominent character in the next few games. If he is alive, he may be like in it every now and again, but I think for the most part, the story for 9 is either going to be about Rose or about Chris. So the Ethan being alive thing is definitely an interesting one to talk about. Now the next one is quite interesting to me, to be honest. This is more interesting to me personally. If you recall, before the credits roll, obviously the village blows up and Mia and Chris escape. While on the plane, one of Chris's team points out to him that the BSAA soldiers that were sent in were not exactly human, they were more like bioweapons, and the BSAA, who are, you know, well known for being the group that Chris was with in Resident Evil 5 and 6, were there to kind of clean up bioterrorism attacks. And you know, it doesn't make sense that the BSAA are using bioweapon soldiers to deal with the situations, because that's kind of what they go against. Like, they're there to stop bioweapons, not to use them, and I don't know. It's an interesting one. Obviously, there was the Blue Umbrella at the end of 7, and obviously there was the DLC for 7 where you would play as Chris and, you know, be part of his Umbrella team. But I don't think the Blue Umbrella is really mentioned in Village. Chris is there, kind of rogue. You find out through files and stuff that he's not really. The BSA are wondering why he's there. Obviously he has his reasons, and you find out, but the BSA are definitely doing something shady. Do I think that they're secretly the next Umbrella? It's possible. Maybe they think that because Umbrella, the original Umbrella, doesn't really exist anymore, they can kind of use bioweaponic technology and, you know, stuff like that, viruses, for good, but you know how that usually turns out. So we'll see. I mean, there's potential that Resident Evil 9 does follow Chris, because he just say that he wants to go to the European headquarters BSA and kind of make them pay for what happened. So maybe there'll be a bit of both Rose and Chris in Resident Evil 9, where you switch between the two. Hell, maybe there's even 2 campaigns where they're completely separate. We don't know. It even could be DLC. Like, the Chris bit could be DLC, and then the Rose could just be the main character in Resident Evil 9. Like, who knows what they're gonna do? Because DLC might happen. I do feel like it might be the same kind of type of DLC that 7 had, where it's like things that have happened either before the events of the game or like bonus modes. Because like Ethan Must Die was a bonus mode. Daughters and bedroom band footages were set before the events of the game, so they could do that again. Obviously there was Not Hero and End of Zoe, which was set after, but we'll see what they decide to do with DLC 8, because it is definitely left on a bit of a, I don't want to say cliffhanger, but it's definitely left with some questions, let's just say. Moving on to the third theory that people have, and that is, could we possibly see Rose be the bad guy in the next game? This is an interesting one. I don't think it'll be the case. Obviously she knows about what happened to her dad. I'd imagine that the Mia's told her all about it, because there's the bit just after she comes back from Ethan's grave, and there's a security guard that she's with calls her Evelyn, and she gets really, really annoyed about it and threatens him. But she doesn't just threaten him, she's like, I have powers like even Chris doesn't know I can do. So she's clearly like, she knows more about herself and her own powers than Chris does. So who knows what that could mean. But then again, if I was called to know the person who basically killed my dad, I'd be kind of pissed as well. So, but I don't think Rose will end up being a bad guy. I really don't see that happening. Mainly because, at the end of the day, Ethan was nowhere near a bad guy. Mia was, kind of. Obviously, she's involved in the group that made Evelyn, so technically she's a bioterrorist. But I don't see Rose particularly turning bad, and if she does, there is the potential that Ethan is in it, and he has to try and stop her. But again, the whole Ethan story over thing, I at least don't think we'll be playing as Ethan again. But maybe he's in the games if he is alive, or maybe he's like a vision, because obviously they mentioned that the Megamycete infection essentially like acts as a hard drive for the souls of the people infected, so everyone's kind of stored there. And if Ethan did die, then it's potential, because Rose has that virus that she can see him or talk to him. But again, that's just an idea, because who knows what's going on with Ethan. Now this one is more of a DLC theory than a end game, next game kind of idea. There is a piece of concept art in the game that shows a masked character saving Ethan from the first initial meeting with the Lords, when they put him through the sprint of death, where you have to kind of get past all the spikes on the ceiling and then the big spinning blades where you hide in that little ditch. Basically where you run like handcuffed, that bit. Originally it was said that a masked figure would save him from that, and it would have been Ada Wong, but that was cut due to conflicting scenarios, whatever that means. The concept art we saw and the character model was very detailed. They had a full face concepted, the whole costume, and there was potential that they could be saving enough for DLCs. Like maybe she was there the whole time and you never saw her. Like, it's potential that she was there and that she just didn't get herself known to Ethan, and we could probably see some different areas in the village that we didn't go to, or a different area entirely. Like, who knows what she was doing. But the question of conflicting scenarios is interesting. Like, what was it conflicting with? Because no other character apart from Chris has made an appearance so far. So, you know, it could be to do with a different game, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But it's interesting to see that she was there, or gonna be there in the game, but she never did. So maybe she'll be in the DLC, maybe she'll be in the next game, or maybe it's just an idea they had that they threw away. So it could be anything, really. But yeah, that's basically gonna be it. There's not many theories that are really like solid, and I do want to like go into each one like one by one and do a bigger video on each of them. But I just wanted to go over the main ideas for some that people have. I am in no means a professional predictor for this shit. Like, I just saw them online, thought they were really interesting, wanted to just get them out there that people thought these things were going to happen or had ideas of these things that were going to happen, and I want to share it with you people. So, if there's others I've missed, or if you have some of your own ideas, then please feel free to, let me know, because I'd love to talk about this game all the time. Not just Village, but any of the Resident Evil games. I've been, honestly, since I've decided to myself to just kind of focus on these games or any other sort of horror game, I've been having a lot more fun on YouTube. I know I've just been sat here talking to the camera, essentially, for the past few videos, but I don't know, it's been fun. And when it goes back to playing the video games again, and doing gameplay videos, it's going to be so much more fun just to sit and do something I really, really enjoy. It's not like I enjoyed what I was doing before, it's just like, that gets very stale very quickly, but with a Resident Evil game, or any other game that's like that, I can kind of sit and play it over and over again without getting bored. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see how this goes. At the end of the day, I'm just in it for fun. So, whether it goes well or not is not really that big of a concern for me. Like, I'm just doing it mainly for myself. Just it's entertaining to do for me. And if any of you guys want to entertain, then that's great too. I guess that's the purpose. At the end of the day, to watch a YouTube video is to be entertained. So if it is what it's doing, then I'm glad. I'm really glad. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Again, let me know if you have any of your own theories, or if you've seen any others that are quite interesting. I am super excited for the future of the series, and of course any DLC for Village they release. One quick little thing is Reverse is coming out in the next couple months. I think they did delay it to summer, and I am gonna be just playing that like crazy. I managed to play a couple games in the beta, but because of the times it was on, I didn't really get that much of an opportunity. But when it does come out, I'll be just playing that to death. So, if that's something that you're interested in, subscribe maybe. I don't know. It's up to you. But thank you all for watching, and I'll